Today's video, we're going to unpack Bitcoin bull Michael Saylor's interview at CPAC 2025, which is the largest and most influential gathering of conservatives in the world, running 51 years to date. Stay tuned.
Feeling that meme coin FOMO kick in, like you missed out on Doge and SHIB and watching Trump soar to number 2? Don't miss your next shot at flipping the script. Flapjacks is more than a meme. It's deflationary, sticky, and community built with utility. Don't wait for FOMO to set in. Stack your gains now at flapjacks.xyz.
Hey guys, welcome back. Drip Coach here with Drip and Farm for Poverty, where we don't trust, we verify, and operate with integrity and transparency. If you're not familiar with CPAC, as I stated, it is the Conservative Political Action Conference where the world's most influential and largest gathering of conservatives meet. I guess they do it every year. Been running since 1974, and it's ran over 3 days. But I'm just going to cover the clip from Michael Saylor, not the whole thing. You guys know he is probably the most vocal Bitcoin proponent, especially in the business sector, I guess you could say. And he came on here to kind of orange pill these individuals. And he starts this off, or at least this clip, from the host asking him why Bitcoin is conservative.
Censored property rights.
Well, to that point, I had spent the last couple of days preparing for this and had a list of questions for Michael. And about 10 minutes before we sat down on the stage, and he goes, let's talk about why Bitcoin is conservative. Let's talk about why this is your coin and this is your industry. So Michael, how is Bitcoin conservative? Why should it be important to this audience, the largest conservative conference in the world?
Bitcoin literally represents the conservation of energy in cyberspace. Satoshi implemented a protocol which is inherently conservative. If I send Bitcoin to you, I lose it, you have it. I can't create more. I can't lie about it. The thing that's beautiful about nature is conservation of energy. Conservative is based on natural law. It's based on the idea that if you just make something up which isn't true, you'll be punished. And the Bitcoin network represents that innate integrity and truth. So, you know, if you think about the world today, there's just an inherent force. There's a struggle between capitalism and socialism, between people that believe in freedom and free markets and those that believe in central planning and collectivism. And if I'm a socialist, I want to take away your guns and your money. And Bitcoin is money that they can't take away. Like, what freedom do you have if you have all of your money in a bank that can freeze it? What freedom do you have if you have your money embedded in a currency where someone can print 4x more of it without your approval and debase it to zero? What freedom do you have if you own real estate in a city where the mayor can put rent control on it or expropriate it, or the governor can tax it away from your family? What freedom do you have if all your wealth is in a business where the government can tell you can't operate, shut down your pipeline, tax your employees, tax your income, regulate your product? And the answer is, you only have conditional freedom until the government changes and they just take away that freedom. And then when they take away your wealth, when they take away your economic power, they're going to starve you to death, and then you've got nothing. So Bitcoin represents putting your economic wealth in cyberspace. It's beyond the reach of the mayor, beyond the reach of the governor, beyond the reach of any nation state, beyond the reach of any other company that would do you harm. It is the first time in the history of the human race that you can bind economic energy tightly to an individual, to a family, to your company. And you don't have to ask permission to have economic wealth, to have money. And you don't have to live in fear that someone gets up on a morning and just takes it all away from you to power you down. And so if I am conservative, I want a family, I want a company, I want freedom. Well, how are you going to pay for it? And if you live in a country like Venezuela and the currency goes to zero, you're going to be begging for food next week. Wouldn't it be great if I could take the wealth of my family and put it into a network that no one can loot, no one can corrupt? And at the end of the day, I don't want to gamble my future. I don't want to take my life savings and gamble in the stock market. I don't want to take my life savings and gamble that the mayor of the city won't just take my property away from me. I actually just want to own the wealth. I want to own my money. And Bitcoin is a way for you to convert your capital into digital capital that will last 1,000 years. Your country will be, your company, your country, or your family will be wealthy for generations to follow. You don't have to live in fear. And when you don't have to live in fear, when you have economic independence, you can actually stretch your time horizon out, and you can build an institution, you can build your family, you can build a life for yourself.
Michael, you talked about several things there. One.
All right, so there's a lot to unpack there, but that bit about freedom, that's really what drove it home for me. And this is kind of the journey that I've been on. I even explained this to my dad. He lives out in Thailand as a retiree, basically. quite a bit of retirees living in Thailand and the US. And it's all about basically having your money go further than what it would in the traditional Western countries. But at the same time, like Michael just mentioned, it's like, yeah, what freedom do you have if they can take that money away from you, or they can debase it or inflate it? And that's kind of the reason why a lot of people move to other countries, is because you see that economic power, that by you having the US dollar being more beneficial for you. So it impacts other countries at a greater scale, but your buying power goes further. So it's kind of going the opposite direction. And it's kind of like a precursor to Bitcoin, because you can see the benefit of holding dollars in a country, like you said, like Venezuela, or even out here in Cambodia, or in Thailand, or any other country where the dollar stays pretty consistent to the conversion rate in that country, and you can still get, eggs for 10 cents an egg versus $5 to $10, whatever the hell it is in the US now. So when you do that with Bitcoin, it's even higher and more aggressive. It's your ability to preserve your capital on steroids against all fiat currencies across the globe. So that bit about, being, what freedom do you have? And that's the ultimate thing that we're looking for, is being able to store our economic energy. As Jack Mallers put it, is like, we trade our time, our energy, our lifespan, basically, for this currency that ultimately is created from nothing, and they are debasing your future self, because that value you're trading in right now for the 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours you work, and whatever amount you trade it in for, years down the road, it's worth less. So you are being debased. Your value, your economic energy into this machine is being extracted exponentially, and then kind of pumped up the chain to others. Whereas if you put that economic value, your time, your energy into Bitcoin, then it grows in your favor. We're going to listen to this next clip from him where he talks about whoever the interviewer was is trying to get Michael to pin down the idea of the Bitcoin strategic reserve, and if we will see that this year. Michael just danced around it as always and just answered in his Bitcoin bull type way about just the fundamentals of Bitcoin. But he does touch on a value of what the US could do if they were to adopt a strategic reserve. So let's find that clip here.
Bitcoin is digital property. You should own it. Your company should own it. Our nation should own it. It is the future.
In your perspective, how soon do you think we're going to be buying Bitcoin and have within our U.S. reserve at a timeline? It's going to be 12 months.
I think there's an appreciation of the power of Bitcoin throughout the cabinet, throughout the House, throughout the Senate. There's going to be a political process by which we build consensus with the White House, the Senate, and the cabinet, and find the right way through. But, what I would say on this topic is the U.S. could own 20% of the network like that for free. The dollar would strengthen. The nation would be enriched. And the real promise is, if you own 4 to 6 million Bitcoin, you're going to pay off the entire national debt. You're going to neutralize it. We can generate a $50 trillion to $80 trillion benefit to the United States people, to the citizens, to the taxpayers. And we can do it simply by seeing the future. It cost $6 million to buy Alaska. The payoff was $1 trillion. Just like right now, you can literally buy it for a song and dance. That's the opportunity. The risk is that you wouldn't want the Saudis to buy it first, or the Russians or the Chinese or the Europeans. And there's only room for one nation state to buy up 20% of the network. And obviously, I think it should be the United States. I think it will be the United States. It's a way for us to enrich ourselves and emerge as a creditor nation in a matter of a decade. It's also a way for us to ensure that we're the economic leaders in cyberspace and the digital economy for the next 100 years. And if we do that, every one of our allies will follow us, and then all of our enemies will end up having to buy into the network once it passes 10 or 20 million a coin, and they will enrich us.
And we saw that.
So that piece right there, we talk about owning 20% of the network. That's kind of, again, similar to the Cynthia Loomis bill. I believe hers was 1 million Bitcoin over the course of 4 to 5 years, 200,000 a year. But he's talking about purchasing 20% of the network. That is crazy. So that's basically, like he said, 4 to 6 million, but that's basically about 5 million Bitcoins. So there's 21 million period, but got to count the fact that a decent amount of that has actually been lost. And how would you actually purchase that 5 million when the total amount of Bitcoin across all exchanges is only 2.2. So that's on exchanges. Of course, there are people sitting with it in their wallet, and that is what Michael Saylor's kind of thesis is that eventually the price will get high enough where people will be willing to sell it. And the price target, he said, where you could pay off the US debt or basically have enough value in Bitcoin to offset the debt, like you wouldn't actually have to sell it, that is looking at a $10 million Bitcoin price. He literally said 50 to 80 trillion dollars. 5 million Bitcoin at $10 million is $50 trillion. And if they could buy it, you can't buy it all at that price, but that's literally, like you said, you could buy it for next to nothing. That's $500 billion to purchase it at the current $100,000 price. But yeah, it makes me wonder who is going to sell that. So once that does start to happen, if and when, it will definitely be a race with other countries. So I'm surprised other countries are not front running this and haven't bought up a large amount of this as of yet. It's very interesting to see Bitcoin hovering around these consolidating prices in the 100K range, but that Omega candle would definitely be in play if and when the US or some other country decides they want to own and control the bulk of the network. So there is not much supply going around, and that aggressive $5 million or 5 million Bitcoin, or 20% of the network, as Michael Saylor said, would definitely cause a rift in the Bitcoin price. And people that have been long-term hodlers would definitely be looking at selling their Bitcoin at a $1 million price tag. So I would not doubt if we started seeing more make it onto exchanges if that were to happen, and especially if it were to push up to the $1, $2, $5, $10 million range. But that stage, that is where shout out to Lenton, where you do not want to sell it. You want to instead take a loan out against it, because yeah, once you sell it, you ain't getting it back once the nation states or like the US is involved. So anyway, there's a lot more in the CPAC. Like I said, 3 days. This one first day was 9 hours, 37 minutes. So I'm not going to play all that to you guys, but did want to at least drive home the numbers that Michael is talking about here. I have no idea if and when we would hit something like that, but this is a guy that bet his entire company and his kind of claim to fame on Bitcoin, and is quite savvy and smart. So I'm assuming he's done his research, because remember, he was against it originally, and he has come out as one of the most influential and forward-thinking or outspoken individuals on the use of Bitcoin. So I don't know if his numbers are right, but he's done the research, so we will see what happens. So I would say definitely stack sats right now while you can, because you may not get the opportunity. That could be sooner rather than later. All right, smash that HBO special, help brother out, like, subscribe, comment down below, and until next time, live daily and achieve your impossible. See ya.
Want to pay your in real life bills with crypto? How about send crypto directly to anyone with a bank account? Spritz Finance is a decentralized solution to be your own bank and connect your crypto earnings to real world bills and payments. They do not take custody of your assets and allow support on multiple blockchains and Web3 wallets. Sign up below using my referral link and you will get $50 back when you make your first $50 bill payment with crypto. Additionally, I will be using referral bonuses to airdrop, donate, or burn based on community feedback. Sign up now.